What can I say about The Last of Us that hasn't already been said? So many videos out there with every possible take you could have. What would be the point in adding to this massive pool of projected insecurities and biased opinion masquerading as fact? I don't know, but I'm going to do it anyway. I think a good place to start is I have actually always detested Joel and found the game's reluctance to elaborate on his time with the Hunters a cheap way to manipulate how you feel about him. And I never found his motivations convincing. Even with his first daughter, I was wholly suspicious of him leaving the house in the middle of the night with the door widely unlocked. But regardless of this, and I appreciate that that might be a bit nitpicky, time and time again through the story, it's revealed how much of a piece of feces he is. From early in the game, where he has no good reason not to help innocent people as he's trying to drive out of the city, to the brutal torture scenes when he's trying to find out where Ellie is, to the history alluded to with him and Jess, his reluctance to take Ellie on at all, motivation of actually doing something to help with solving the problem was never a thing for him. It was more of this kind of reluctant favor he felt he owed Tess. And then even just the way he killed Marlene brutally when he went back and shot her in the head, which really wasn't kind of necessary or well thought out if you think about it in terms of if he was really just trying to stop her from coming after Ellie or if he was just the kind of person that just randomly shot people in the face. So, the reason I have to highlight this is because my feeling about the game is not going to be colored by Joel's treatment, as so many people out there seem to be. I hated Joel. I wanted him to get got, and get got he did. But the manner in which he did was kinda lame, but more on that later. I also want to start with I have no problems with underrepresented ethnicities or sexual preferences being highlighted in games. In fact, I welcome it. I think it's needed. The gaming, shall we say, atmosphere is just so toxic and not inclusive and too homogenous. However, However, just having a character from an underrepresented ethnicity is not enough to earn you a free pass from scrutiny. I actually thought the best character in this game that I enjoyed, that I look forward to, was Lev, and I also really like Jesse as well. Um, but just because these characters, they need to work well within the story. So here I am, unclear on what my own biases are going into this game, apart from the fact that I'm a true gamer since 1990. And of course, I'm somewhat of a contrarian, intrigued by the massive media storm surrounding the game. I wanted to know, really, what was the big deal? Why did people get so upset about this game? I'm not sure I would have been as eager to play this game had the polarizing reviews not been such a pivotal feature of its marketing strategy. I had had the previous Last of Us for years as a free download, the remastered version on my PS4. They seem to be trying to give it away constantly. And so I replayed it before playing the second game. And the game really has not, despite the remaster, stood the test of time. Now, I'm a true gamer, true gamers, we came up on pure gameplay. I'm not worried about graphics. Graphics are, what do they say, the icing of the cake. I'm into game play, game worlds, okay? And The Last of Us as a game, it just doesn't hold up. As a stealth game, for example, which it forces you to do, it gives you the illusion of choice. You can choose how you do any encounter, but really and truly, the mechanics point you towards just slowly and meticulously taking everyone out quietly. But as a stealth game, if you want an example of great stealth, obviously something like Phantom Pain, which came out in 2015, is a world away from Last of Us Part One. Um, and in terms of end of world scenarios or zombie games, I mean, remember, things like Resident Evil, and even Days Gone was, was a more fun place to be than the work. I'm just talking about the fun. Even with Resident Evil's tank controls, where you had to like stop, turn around, and run forward, that felt more fun. You know, trying to run around the zombie that way than the clickers with their one shot kills, and the gun sway, and the reticle that refuses to go smaller until a few seconds, during which you either get shot or someone runs at you. It's it's really not that enjoyable to play. And the first story really is a case of a broken clock is right twice a day. I mean, it was a great ending. I'll give you that. It was powerful. Um, the whole of Joel's kind of evolution of a character was kind of lame, to be honest. Um, there wasn't really any depth more than just little girl. He starts liking the little girl. There's something very almost alt right about Joel as a character. I looked him up, and apparently he was based on like rural Americana, and then this kind of obsession with being hyper protective over the little white girl, even in the face of humanity. Is very strange, but at the time it worked. When you played the game and you got to the end, and what happened, it was powerful, and it was a great place to set off a sequel, because it's like, okay, well, what happens next? I mean, and much like The Walking Dead, where the shift when the shift goes away from a bigger story, then I love this girl. I'm going to protect this girl to the end of the world. He loves this girl. We're going to protect this girl to the end of the world. When it shifts away from that, it no longer becomes as captivating, you know? Not to mention, in the first game, we had that very, very abrupt ending of Sam and Henry's plotline, which was just way too convenient. And then you had the Dave character who, they were trying to do the whole Rick Grimes versus, who did he go up against? Negan, at least in the TV show, where they're trying to show who really is the villain here. Who really is the villain? And that only really works if there's enough ambiguity about both sides. Now, the problem is in The Last of Us 1 is one side was a little white girl who is traditionally the protagonist in very many stories, and then the alt-right rural Americana man with the beard who symbolizes toxic masculinity. And by the way, it's probably the reason why the response to the game has been so vomit inducing. There's nothing that happens in The Last of Us 2 that warrants the kind of response people have had. But nonetheless, so what was I saying? I don't know. Oh yeah, I was talking about setting up the story, so that if you want to play this which side is right story. They tried it a little bit with David and his camp when they first catch up with Ellie, and they give her the medicines, and they say Joel killed loads of us, and you're supposed to question who really is the villain. But they make that answer really easy by making one group, like I said, little white girl, the symbol of alt-right heroism, and then the other is cannibals. Cannibals, cannibals, cannibals. Of course. Who are you going to side with? Anyway, so like I said, once I saw how powerful the response was online, and I realized that was narrative driven, as opposed to because of, say, in-game purchases, because we've all seen when Metacritic will be like 80 and then the user score will be like 2, and that's because like the in-game purchases, etc. I had to know, really, what is it so crazy in this game that made people respond in this way? And it built inside me this great expectation. There wasn't.
Go back down then.
No, I can't jump on the roof.
Me too. Go back down.
I can't jump on the roof.
Should we check for supplies?
Come on, Dina, move this out of the way. What's she doing? What did I tell you?
I see spores in there.
You must be patient, mate.
Masks
You
on.
must play it the game the way the game wants you to play it.
That's exactly why some people don't like this type of game design. They want freedom.
Remember, I don't want to have to shoot you in the face. Oh, that's so sweet.
She's even pretending to wear the mask.
All these spores mean they've been here for a while.
That means
Keep your eyes
clickers.
peeled for older.
Oof! That was close, baby.
Blind motherfuckers made my skin crawl.
That was close, right?
Let's make sure the rest.
Do you know what we should do next time when we do this film? Put green screen.
This film. And why?
Because
I'll make you a
then,
present.
You play the game behind
I'll
us.
take a present.
then we can put us in the corner of the game. Because I think that would be more. Because, like, actually, the stuff that we're getting on screen is quite good. Because I've realized I have quite an entertaining play style. No, for example, that bit where like that guy almost killed me, right? That was sick, right? So if we had that and then just us in the corner, but as it is, I'm gonna have to use the whole thing. But with green screen, it could just be us, you know.
Never mind.
Hey, you live and you learn. But even this little experiment gives me hope. What's she giving me? A Molotov. There we go.
Here.
I thought I was someone
Thanks.
else.
You thought it was someone else?
Yeah. Didn't look like her. Has anything significant happened yet?
No, not yet. Give it, if nothing happens by 10:30, we can turn it off.
I got some numbers here.
10. So when you do that, can the other ones not hear you?
Okay, now. Clicker, can't you see? Sometimes your clicks just hit me. Hold on. Come here.
There's a runner. Here.
You died. Why did you speak? Why did you speak whilst sneaking up on a clicker?
I don't know what the fuck she did.
What is the time?
I had no idea. Yeah. They got just real dark shit.
Did they ever tell us what they were?
The Firefly were the organization that Marlene
Yeah,
worked
no,
for.
I know, but who are they?
They're like people, they're like an organization who are, they're like,
That Marlene worked for. Yeah, I know that.
they were like resistance fighters, you know? And they wanted to come up with a cure for this infection.
Like what? He said he blew up a checkpoint.
Does Ellie know, you think? Was Eugene in touch with the other Fireflies? Did he hear about me and Joe? Because she must know, right? That Joe killed all those Fireflies.
Why must she know that?
For her to write that.
Why?
Because why else would she write, did he hear about me and Joel? No, he would have said something.
Because it would have been if he knew that she was immune. Not necessarily that he killed all the fireflies.
I think she knows.
I don't.
Ooh, wow, they're smoking weed. Like, wow, oh my
Totally
God.
trapped.
Oh, wow, so cool, man. Oh my days.
I don't like Ellie's face.
Can I ask you a question?
No, neither do
I don't know. Can you?
I thought I was being misogynistic, but I'm glad you said it before me.
Scale of 1 to 10. Why
Who?
are we still talking about this?
Why did they think that people would find this entertaining?
You said it was a mistake.
Are you finding this
Did
entertaining?
I say that?
There's
It's true, but are you finding it entertaining? No.
What are you doing?
Good. I don't have it.
All running off to you.
I don't have bullets for this guy. Where did I go?
I don't know, but
Fuck.
you're gonna die. What's gonna happen? Keep trying.
Where?
Stairs.
You saved my life.
Very simple.
This button doesn't actually work.
Joel.
He's like,
Fuck Joel.
It's only gonna hold him for long. We need to hurry.
Give him a cable car.
Give us a hand with this thing!
Yeah. Collected all the stuff.
why are they helping him, by the way?
Push it up onto the car!
Well, you think old Joel would have helped a random woman?
Get inside! I'll get the gondola to the window. You two keep the... Come on! Oh. You need me to take over? I got it. Just keep those in.
I'm conflicted. Although, if you knew nothing about the game,
Why are you conflicted? About what?
What about this one?
we're leading Joel to his death,
When I
right?
was 12, I found a skateboard.
But how did she know it was him?
I tried to get on it.
She
Only
didn't.
because you just said
Yeah.
this is Joel.
And then
it
did you
shot
not see
right
her
out from
face?
underneath me.
You saw her face, right?
Wait, how did you get the scar? I fell on my knife.
But I suppose. Hold on. I'm just trying to figure out if we're supposed to know at this point that she's leading. They expect us to know that she's leading him to his death, right?
Take it, boy!
Like they expect, because they showed us that scene where they said, "I'm looking for him." But maybe we weren't supposed to know that him is Joel.
Let's get inside!
Like, did you assume it was Joel yourself? You didn't. And maybe I'm only assuming it's Joel because of all of the press surrounding the game. But most people who are fans of the game,
We're good. Thanks. Yeah.
this is, for me, this is like mad.
Pull the saddles off?
No.
Is this not worrying?
Nothing.
You have no idea.
And Malcolm.
Tommy,
Oh, no,
this is my brother.
Tommy's gonna get done as well.
Joe. Don't look like you heard of us or something.
Because they have.
No, not Tommy! Become my brain.
Joel Miller.
Who are you?
No, I'm Joel Smith.
Yes.
This is a bit extreme though, no?
Stupid. Oh, man.
I'm looking forward to killing
I
Abby.
think
You don't
Ellie's
get to
gonna
rush
come
this.
and kill them. Oh, maybe not.
Joel! Tommy! Shit.
Oh, she's here
How
already.
do I get down there? Joel, fucking get up! Please stop! Please don't shoot! Joel, please get up! No! No!
So what happened? To be honest, nothing really. Nothing anywhere near the level that everyone is getting so upset about. Joe got, and it wasn't satisfying at all. It's mad because they annoyed all the Joel fans by killing him off, and then they annoyed everyone who wanted Joel to pay for what he did by showing him as a completely new kumbaya version of Joel that did not exist in the first game. I think they changed his character model, they changed his body language, they changed his tone of voice. And that song that he sang for Ellie, I'm sorry, it was just creepy. I just want to add that in because I've not seen anyone else highlight the very, very disturbing, vibes that song was giving off.
And I believe, 'cause I can see our future days, days of you and me.
What follows after Joe's death is a very long revenge spree that is difficult to motivate yourself through because Ellie is not the Ellie we know and love. She's perpetually miserable, even before Joel has been killed, presumably because she knows what Joel did was really, really, really bad, which, by the way, also means her decision to brutally murder everyone incessantly makes no sense. Not only this, but the story presents some sort of urgency as you're playing, a pressing need to progress and find retribution, which is then put at complete odds with stopping the story, going all the way back to the beginning of the story, and then playing as the other side of the story. No one wants to play as Abby. This is the game's biggest mistake because Abby's story is far more engaging than Ellie's. Abby's gameplay is far more fun, her weapons far more rewarding. The Rat King, the hotel, the Sky Bridge, Lev, Scar Island, but it's all ruined because you're just trying to get back to Ellie as soon as you can to continue the story to see if things will fix themselves, just in terms of, not in terms of a happy ending, just in terms of, will this get good? Will this all make sense? Will it all come together nicely? I see a lot of people lauding this game for being bold, but I'm not sure I agree. A bold, more interesting approach would have been when Abby first caught up with Ellie. Abby wins, and that's the end of the game. Abby's evolution as a character at that point was already cemented, and the only people that can't see that, they have this weird love affair with the old Ellie to realize that the new Ellie, she ain't it, chief, and she should have got just like Joel. What happens after this point that actually happens in a game is so nonsensical. Although the last compound where you do use like clickers as weapons was pretty cool, but that whole bit was just so bad. I'm not even gonna talk about it. So overall, this game, the gameplay is better than the first, refined if repetitive. There seems more of an emphasis on slowly and methodically taking out people, which gets really boring. The gunplay and melee action is not rewarding enough. As a true gamer, I'm more into things like Sekiro or first-person shooters with a bit of innovation and response, like Overwatch, something like that. Aiming in The Last of Us is purposely made difficult in order to raise the tension, but it just raises the boredom. Tracking enemies is not fun in, for example, the way in Phantom Pain or even in Sekiro, where you can like use techniques to make sure that you're aware of everyone around you and how to maneuver. The graphics are dope, obviously, but like I said, I've been playing since 1990. You know what I'm saying? Graphics do not make or break a game for me. Ultimately, expectation hampered everyone's ability to enjoy this game. It's not a 4, but it's nowhere near a 10 or even a 9. Maybe close to an 8. I'd be very uncomfortable giving it an 8. It's little more than an interactive movie with an unsatisfying plot that makes less and less sense the more you think about it. Our expectations of Ellie and Joel kill the experience of the game, and my personal expectation of some crazy twist, next level narrative device led to my own personal disappointment with the game. Some people feel that they were lied to by the developers with cutscenes, with fake characters in, and honestly, I couldn't care less. If the game was good and the game was fresh, I would have had no problem with them trying to stop people from getting spoilers. So I'm not gonna accept that, but you know what I'm trying to say. I guess the crazy thing is, after all the big expectations, after all the hoo-ha, after all the millions of YouTube videos, after everything said and done, ultimately, the game's just alright. It's really nothing special.